This Sunday is the third Sunday in the Advent season, and the third Sunday is known as Laetare Sunday, and that comes from the Latin introit, the chant that would be sung at the beginning of the service in the old Roman Rite, and Laetare is rejoice. And so traditionally, and this is simply a tradition that's evolved in the Christian church, on the third Sunday in Advent, we shift from the blue, or in olden days, the purple, to a rose color. And there are some associations there with Mary. There's a little bit of an idea of it being a lighter Sunday, rejoicing. And so, in a lot of times, you'll see in Advent wreaths, you'll see candles that will be purple or blue, except the third one will be that rose color. Here at St. John's, within the past year, received a gift and have new rose-colored frontal for the altar and vestments. So we'll be using those, a really lovely color. And it's an idea of just giving that sense of rejoicing here in Advent. And so we invite you to come and join in that spirit of embracing the love that we are picturing coming into the world in the person of Jesus Christ. At the opening hymn, we will be singing one of the most familiar carols, O Come, Emmanuel, with that free-floating melody that we sort of think of as kind of the prototypical Gregorian chant. The funny thing is, while that melody, the contour of that melody may indeed have some roots back into the late medieval, early Renaissance, maybe the 15th century, it really is something of an artifact or an artificial creation by musicians in the 19th century. And they were very much wanting it to have that feeling, that medieval feel to it, but it's not actually true what we would think of as Gregorian chant or plain song. It's really a little bit more of an anachronistic take, but it's a very effective melody, and it's a really beautiful, haunting melody. The text itself is quite old and has some really interesting elements to it. As with any text that's well over 1,200 years old, it's been through several iterations. But for anyone that's been familiar with singing that hymn in church, you know that it has a lot of verses, 8 verses, a lot to get through. And each verse talks about Jesus in a different name, in a different way of thinking about who Jesus is. And the funny thing is, if you start at the beginning, it's sapientia, a wisdom from on high, and then goes on to Adonai, the chosen one of God, radix, the root of Jesse. If you take those backwards, so the words for Jesus, sapientia, Adonai, radix, clavis, key, oriens, rex, and then Emmanuel. If you take the first letter of all those words and spell it backwards, you get the Latin words ero cras, which means tomorrow I come. So in this poetic structure, there's something very hidden and yet a really interesting foretaste of what the whole text is about. It's as if Jesus is saying, I'm revealing myself through all of these different ways, as the key of David, as the branch of the root of Jesse. I'm coming tomorrow, ero cras. So I hope that that will help as we sing that hymn on our way in, as we process in. As I mentioned with the Laetare Sunday, the third Sunday in Advent is also a Sunday that we really think about Mary a lot. And we'll be reading her beautiful passage where she speaks or sings the Magnificat with her cousin Elizabeth. And that Magnificat is so much like a lot of the song sections in both the Old and New Testaments. It really talks about how God has provided for God's people, and how we are beneficiaries for the promise and the care and the love and nurture of God. And it's such a tender thing that she would sing those ideas as she is carrying Jesus and as she is with Elizabeth, who is carrying John the Baptist. So we will also have some things related to Mary. At the communion, the choir will be singing a really beautiful piece by Herbert Howells that talks about the Isaiah prophecy relating to Mary. A spotless rose is blooming. And then at the end, the final organ voluntary, the postlude, is a big masterful work by Bach using the German chorale of the Magnificat. So we have a lot of things coming. Tomorrow, we hope that you will come and join and worship with us here at St. John's.